Wonderful day, wonderful day, wonderful day. This is your neighborhood sensei Fouché, telling all y'all to stay woke. As you see, I have on this number 28 Curtis Martin New York Jets football jersey. Classic. One of my favorite players as far as respecting a player. I have a good jersey collection, and the jersey collection is based off of great players, elite players. I live my life and follow my directions in a strong form of efficiency and in the mind state of being elite. So I personally gave up what they will call being a fan of a specific team. I am addicted to greatness, to use the term addiction. I am in strong relation and agreement with things that are great. When the Golden State Warriors first started to put this run together, I want to say maybe it was 2015 as far as basketball knowledge people. When that team was put together, I was a huge Steph Curry fan. Huge. I respected the work ethic. When he came out of college, he was labeled with a lot of negative traits, other than the fact that he was a great shooter. You know, they really minimized his level of being an elite NBA player, which we know him now to be. But when that team was put together, I immediately understood that I was attracted to greatness. So I threw away the whole labels of, growing up in New York, or New York City to be exact, and being a Yankee fan. I mean, I grew up in the Bronx, so I have a very strong connection to the Pinstripes. But, yet and still, being a fan of the Yankees, being a fan of the Jets, being a fan of the Giants, being a fan of the Mets, the Islanders in hockey, or the Rangers. A lot of these teams aren't consistently successful. I haven't been for quite a while. So there's a level of frustration that can come attached to being a fan, or a fanatic, to be specific. But my thing is, I like watching things that make sense as opposed to things that don't make sense, or following things that make sense as opposed to things that don't make sense. So why be frustrated over something that doesn't make sense and agree to be connected to something that frustrates you, right? You dig? That's what a fanatic is. Like, you get frustrated for something that doesn't make sense because you choose to attach yourself to something so strongly, wholeheartedly, to use another reference. So, all that being said, there's a difference in being a fanatic and an enthusiast. I have a story, something recently. I walked into McDonald's in a job-related purpose, and a boy that may have been about maybe 4, 5, 6 years old, to kind of give a loose observation. I walked into the restaurant, and I believe I was wearing specifically um, the player. What's his name? Garrett Wilson, who's a New York Jets player. Ironically, I'm wearing the Jets jersey. So I was wearing. He used to wear the number 17. Now he wears the number 5. I bought the jersey when he had the number 17. And if I'm correct, I was wearing Garrett Wilson, number 17, New York Jets jersey. I walk into the restaurant with a big smile on my face, a greeting smile, and start to make my way towards the front counter. And upon making my way to the front counter, this boy spews out, "The Jets, I hate the Jets." And he said it with such vehement anger. Like he was dead serious. And immediately I'm like, why does this boy have this level of hate for this team? And I know that was taught to him because, his parents, his father, if I'm correct, was right there and just kind of, smirked about the situation. I wasn't going to make a big deal out of it because it really wasn't that serious for me to address that vehement hate that this kid expressed about football or sport. But immediately the thing that I thought of was, man, what did the Jets do to you? Like, we live in a whole nother state that's easily 1,000 miles from that location. They're not even a rivalry of any team in this specific region. But he hates the Jets. Why? Did someone on the Jets do something to you personally? Was your father employed, or your parents or some loved one employed by this organization and they were wrongly let go or released from their position by this specific franchise? Was there a player that personally represents or does something so vulgar or egregious against your personal being or your family's personal being? Like, what was the whole gimmick? You know what I'm saying? But this is what we're taught in this country of united people is hate. With sports as, a topic of reference right now. Because, we could go into, religion, we could go into race, but right now we're talking about sports. So when you hate these teams, why do you hate them? Let's run through a few different underpoints. So you have geography. So in these United States, you have separation because you have an organization that plays in one city and another organization that plays in another city. But because these organizations represent two cities in a united foundation, there is a vehement, strong degree of hate participated by these fans. Fanatics in full statement. Let's go into another reference of why you would hate a specific franchise or team. Let's get into the economic level of this. So one organization has more money to commit to specific players that demand a certain salary. So because this team can afford players more than another team, you hate an organization. We live in America. America is based off of capitalism. If one company is able to produce as well as generate the attention of the masses better than another form of business, that's what we call the American way. It's capitalism. Aren't we supposed to cheer the advantages or the fortunes of people that are able to take advantage of a system to create a level of wealth or earning potential? That's what the American way is. So you hate a team because they're able to afford more than another organization. Let's go into performance. Another team is regularly able to perform at a greater level than your franchise. Why? You hate on a franchise because their organization and their management is better than the organization that you choose to align yourself with. Isn't that the owner's fault? So why wouldn't you protest against your own organization as opposed to expressing a vehement hate to another organization that practices a degree of success that you wish for your organization to also practice, but they don't? Why? Because your owner does not have the level of practice in their line of performing business opposed to the successful franchise. Injury. You hate a player because they can't stay, or they're not available to be consistent in performing. So you hate them because they're hurt. I mean, if someone is suffering, aren't we supposed to wish them well? But you hate them because they aren't able to perform. But whose fault is that? Again, it goes down to the ownership or the management that chooses to pay this person. Now, you as an employee would want to maximize your earning potential at the expense of the employer because you create your sense of what your value is, right? So how could we try to devalue someone else trying to maximize their value or earning potential within this capitalist system? Which goes into player loyalty. What does that mean? So a player decides in these current days, they have what's called free agency. In old days, no different than slavery, you were tied to an organization. So if a player decides that once his contract or his obligation to an organization is complete, he chooses to maximize his wealth, or what was the term I was using before, but his value. So he chooses to maximize his value with another organization that chooses to invest into this individual at his request. And that's wrong. If you work for a company, and in common America, you get peanuts, nickels and dimes for raises, and you want your owner or the ownership or the company to pay you more. So you're resentful for not being paid properly. So it's okay for you to be resentful for not being paid what you feel your value is. But you choose to stay within the organization. Why? Because you give conditions and reasons of why you feel it's your obligation to continue to commit and connect to an organization that doesn't respect or honor your value. But because someone else chooses to do it, and it's not that you can't do it, you just give excuses as to why you won't do it. Personally, I used to hate customers when I worked as a cook, chef. And the reason why is because they would come in and I would have to work. But without the customers, you're not going to make money. So you need the customers, and you have to work hard in the commitment of the organization in order to generate income for the organization or the company in order for you to earn income. So what's the purpose of hating the customers? Because without the customers, you won't get paid. Right? So what's the whole idea of, holding a level of hate when it's something that serves a purpose and a value? So there's no need to commit to a feeling that doesn't agree to the higher purpose that you're trying to attain. Like that level of hate, like what's the whole worth of it? To be a fanatic and to hate a team, like what's the whole purpose of that? Like these days, I'm an enthusiast. I am a sports enthusiast. And what that means is I am enthused, in the entertainment of high value and high performance in the form of entertainment. Following sport never is an issue. It's a form of using observation skills. But being a fanatic, a fan, what does that mean really? And what type of observer are you? Or are we? A fanatic or an enthusiast? Think about that. And what is really the worth of being a fan? And what does that mean? And how does that make you look as far as your connection and your thought into the fanatical being and the fanatical lifestyle and the following through in the aspects of what it defines to be a fan. Stay woke. 1. Thank you.